Hey everybody, welcome back to our neck of the woods. I'm not gonna lie to you, today I don't really have a video planned. There's some stuff that I just want to look at real quick, but this video should be probably pretty short and sweet because I just didn't have anything planned. I don't have any ideas about stuff, and I've got to work the next few days. This paycheck's coming to a close and I'm a little short on hours, so I just basically need to check some few things out and then get to bed and go to work tonight. But the first thing I wanted to go over and show you guys is I just checked. We put in the attic insulation exactly 1 month ago, and when I ramped the heat up in the basement, our propane was sitting at about 75%, and now we're at 45%. So that doesn't sound too good, does it? For only 1 month of not even really that cold weather yet. You know, it's definitely not January or February yet. To lose about 30% of propane already in just 1 month. I was hoping, you know, that propane tank would go an entire year and wouldn't have to be refilled. So while ICF may be great, the fact that we're trying to heat the entire house from the basement, I think the air up in here is getting down into the basement and it's making that thermostat kick on more. And well, wouldn't you know it, 60.9. I will say this, it is damn consistent that that thermostat never changes. But it's hard to tell, not living in the house, just how often the boiler down in the basement is actually kicking on and working. But I really think we need to we need to start thinking about or getting in some extra heating sources, again, with like the mini splits or the fireplace. So that way, I know the mini splits are gonna fail in the wintertime. They don't work below 4 degrees Fahrenheit. They will definitely ice up if they're working all of the time. But if we end up sending the basement one day to like 68 degrees and it's like 66 up in here and we want it to be 68, well, maybe the mini splits only have to kick on for like an hour a day and then they never have to turn on again, because once we hit 68, the ICF just won't let the heat dissipate out through the walls or out through the ceiling. But I think actually putting in more heating sources and burning electricity will actually end up like saving propane and vice versa, because they're all working together. But one thing that I do want to check out today is a guy just messaged me, actually made a comment on YouTube, and he's like, your delta is basically too far away. And what I mean by that is, if you guys remember last year when we were installing this floor insulation, and then I was putting drywall over the hole to kind of help keep the air in, I set that boiler up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, if the boiler is up to 140 degrees, it goes without saying you're going to be burning a lot of propane to get that water up that hot. But again, the delta difference that we're talking about is the fact that the water is only coming back at about 70. So I can't wrap my head around it right now as I'm thinking. To me, I would think the hotter we keep putting that boiler up, the hotter the water will be returning. But he's like, no, you know, I've got a garage that's like almost 1,000 square feet. It's got 3 loops on it. My delta is only within like 20 degrees of itself. And if you guys remember from last year, a guy, again on YouTube named Steve, he helped me basically build all of this, and he's got a garage too, and his is ICF. And he's like, yeah, I got a real close delta too. So why the hell do I have a 70-degree delta in between these two? It just doesn't make sense. So I guess what I'm gonna play with right now is I'm gonna, I guess, just lower the boiler from 140. Let's go crazy and go all the way down to 120. Now that we know with the thermal camera before, we know the concrete right now, especially where the radiant hot tubes are, we're seeing the floor come in around 70 degrees. Well, if the concrete is now heated up for 1 month, and it's probably gonna wanna stay that 70 degrees all the time now because there's so much thermal mass, then I guess maybe I don't need 140 degrees, and the water again will still be returning at 70 degrees, but now we've just dropped 20 degrees on the boiler, which again will save on propane, you know, saving on energy and stuff, and it doesn't have to work as hard. So I just instantly heard that thing kick on, so it does work quite well. that as soon as you touch that thermostat, boy, the controller start to kick on and it tells the pump start to kick on. Now, one thing that I mentioned last year, I kind of made the mistake and I don't really want to rectify it. My pump here, both of my pumps are also set to high. They've got low, medium, and high speeds. And again, they're both set to high, both the garage and this one. Well, this one being a little bit bigger of a pump than that one, I ended up putting in this one-way check valve. So that way, as the garage water starts to flow, it doesn't want to turn back and go down through here. But if I actually lower this pump to like a medium or a low, it actually doesn't work because it cannot overcome the resistance that's in here. So it's basically like I have to remove this. And this pump, I know for sure online, it says it actually has an internal check valve. So I actually removed the check valve over here because this pump couldn't overcome it. But I mean, I would have to basically redo this section, and then I've got to bleed it all, and that takes hours. It's just a huge pain in the butt to bleed it. So I have never removed this check valve, but I am wondering, other people out there with radiant systems, are your speeds set to max speed, or do you find that medium works better or low works better? But again, at least for me right now, I have to pretty much use max speed, at least on this one, due to the check valve. And actually, I'm remembering this now. I can't set this one lower actually, because if this one is running at the exact same time, this one cannot overcome the flow of this one pushing out, because this one wants to go back here and they basically meet as a bottleneck, and then the garage basically doesn't get hot. So both of them have to be set to max flow, at least for right now. Whether or not that changes actually how things operate, I don't know. But let's take a look here at the radiant floor. We're already at 115. And our pressures are good. You want to be basically a little bit over 10 PSI. You don't want crazy high temperatures in your boiler with your radiant floor system, and it really won't do much more than that because those pumps are very weak. They're not strong at all. But within just a few seconds there, again, just from this trip down here, again, we can already see we're just at 115 degrees. So maybe we're losing that 5 degrees because these pipes are open and they're not insulated. Or the expansion tank had cold water in it and that has to heat up, and maybe it loses a little bit of temperature in here. But I don't know. Let's see what happens. We'll go from 115, and right now we're already coming back at 70. So we're basically where we were with a hotter boiler temperature. So I guess running that at 140 wasn't a good idea, but we're still not at a great delta at that 120. So I don't know. I got to think about this more. Will you end up burning up more propane with a hotter temperature? Or if I keep on dropping this water temperature lower and lower, but because these pipes right here now are no longer 140 degrees, does that mean that this may kick on more often because we're not heating the concrete up to, like 140 degrees, we're only heating it up to 120. Or maybe 110 or 105, whatever it may be. But I don't know. This is definitely something that I have to experience more. And again, this is the first time that I have played with this or even touched this in exactly 1 month. And this is the first 1 month ever that we've actually had the house fully insulated. So it's not really my fault for not getting out here and playing with this yet. But again, if anyone out there is an expert, anyone else has suggestions for me about how to set these, removing the check valve, that again I really don't want to do. I just want to leave the pumps at max flow because it's working. But I think we need to maybe set up an experiment to where we actually put the camera down here and we set it like on a time lapse, and I put like a clock in front of it, so that way as it's going through like a 10-hour time lapse, let's say, and we'll put the camera on like a massive battery pack, we can see the time at when the garage actually, or not the garage, when the house actually kicks on, see how long it runs for, because there will be a clock in there to give me a timer. And then again, we'll see how often it's kicking on too. So I don't know, definitely some experiments that I got to play with because I'm no radiant floor expert. But again, thanks to Steve for helping me out with all of this, and another guy in Ohio that actually just hit me up, reminding me that my delta is way too far away and I got to start playing with that and adjusting it because clearly, again, it's not working. I shouldn't be going through 30% of a boiler's propane in only 1 month time frame. But I do apologize for this video being kind of nothing, at least for right now. It's just a little bit of information for you guys. Again, I got to get to sleep. I got to go to work, and let me post this up. Crappy video for Vlogmas Day 15, but we're halfway through the month and we'll see what else we can figure out. So until then, let me know what you guys think about everything. Take care. Oh, and on a side note, I did want to mention one more thing. Number one, my doctor did get back to me. And because of my low vitamin D levels, she did recommend I go ahead and start a vitamin D3 supplement. So that's awesome that she agrees with me. She also definitely agreed, even though my magnesium levels are normal, to take a little bit of magnesium lower than what the daily recommended dosage is, because then again, that kind of helps with that vitamin D absorption. And then she actually was pretty surprised that I even heard of or knew what vitamin K2 was. And again, vitamin K2 is still a lot of research that needs to be done. People have only been like talking about it for the last like 4 years. But she did recommend a daily dose for me. And they do make vitamin D and K2 supplements like already combined in one pill. And I think they actually make the magnesium in one pill also. So it's just super easy to do it. But I will be starting on that. I'll let you guys know how I feel in like a month or so. We can redraw my blood levels in a month or so, but I just thought that was cool that my doctor agreed with me and that I can get started on something. And again, just trying to live a better, longer, healthier life. And then the second thing that I wanted to say real quick, this is kind of more on a sad note. Right after I got done editing that video yesterday, you know, talking about taking care of yourself and depression, and if you guys have trouble with anything, you know, pick up the phone and call someone. A celebrity who seemed to be a very happy, energetic type of person. You know, Robin Williams rings a bell in that sense. Actually ended up taking his own life yesterday. So it's just sad that we always end up seeing like celebrities who always seem so happy and seem to like have their life together, and then they end up taking their own because something may have happened or they've been dealing with stuff. It usually ends up being guys. They don't talk to someone, and then again, they end up taking their own life. So it's so sad. So instead of in this video telling you guys if you are having troubles to pick up the phone and call someone for help, let's do the opposite effect too. If you're having a good life, soldiers, for example, end up taking their lives on average almost 22 soldiers a day. So if you're having the good life and you don't need to pick up the phone and, you know, call a suicide hotline, etc., pick up the phone and call someone else. If you're in the military, call a buddy that you used to be in the military with. Maybe they're not doing so well. Just you know, shoot the shit with them and ask them, how are things going? How you been? It's been a while. Like, don't ask them, you know, are you okay? But hey man, it's been a while. What's up? Haven't talked to you in a while. How's things going? You have no idea what that may end up doing for someone else in that day, because again, it is a crappy, cold, rainy, northern hemisphere day right now. You have no idea what a call, a text, or a message online could be for someone else. So take this time to, again, not only take care of yourself, but take this time to maybe take care of somebody else. Pick up the phone and call an old friend or family member that you haven't talked to in a while. You have no idea, again, what type of maybe serotonin boost that may give them, that they may end up having a better day, a better week, or even maybe a better month. Again, that was really sad to see right after I ended up making that video, but even if it wasn't a celebrity, again, we still need to think about the everyday people who end up are going through stuff too, and you guys do have the power to pick up a phone call and maybe change someone's day around. So keep that in mind, and now I'll end this video here. Again, I hope you all take care and you have a wonderful holiday.